It's all about those bloody cherries.
Oh, it's nice to live beside the seaside. Yeah.
I do like to go beside the sea. Iraola, he's got plan A, B, C, D, mate.
I don't want to keep digging out Ange Postecoglou's Spurs, but I will do it. I think this is the one to watch centre-back partnership.
In world football?
Probably in world football.
I would agree. So we must appreciate the good times while they're here. So big and dominant. Like, he is like a young version of Virgil van Dijk. Spurs and Man United are bottom half teams.
But he is handling it with aplomb.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BoreDraw, episode 122. And today, it's all about those bloody cherries.
Mate, I've got the glasses on. I'm getting analytical on this one.
We're going heavy into Bournemouth because they are winning the hearts of the nation with their elite performances.
It's a weird one. We've had kind of like I feel like the BoreDraw lore, a lot of it is, you can find it in Bournemouth because we backed Gary O'Neill and then we were upset at Bournemouth for letting him go. But then we also backed Andoni Iraola. We thought that was a really good appointment.
And we'll be upset if they ever let him go.
So we're quite invested in the old Bournemouth project. And maybe we'll talk about the grander scheme of what going so well at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
But right now, let's talk about the massive result they got on the weekend against Newcastle. Talk a bit about their style. Talk about what's going so right under Andoni.
How they're handling situations.
Yeah, they're smashing it. So,
kick us off, boy.
On the weekend, big game. They had to travel to St James's Park to play Newcastle.
It's got to be up there with one of the longest away days in the Premier League.
The longest away day in the Premier League. Yeah, we've got that written down here.
Perfect.
That's already like an obstacle that they've got to overcome. Obviously, the Mandem, they probably fly. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're going first class.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, St James's Park is just a hard place to go, regardless of where you're coming from, who you are. Yeah.
But yeah, you got to bear that in mind. I saw the Bournemouth official Twitter account. They tweeted about their buses of fans leaving. 2 a.m. in the morning there to leave.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it?
Come on. That is crazy. But anyway, big old trip to St James's Park. Newcastle, best form in the league. I think they were on 7 wins on the trot.
Yeah.
Just smashed the likes of Spurs, Arsenal.
Yeah, they've done a job.
And they got, not even arguably anymore, I'd say definitely the best striker in the Premier League.
Agreed.
The most on-form striker in the Premier League in Andoni.
Maybe the most well-rounded striker in the Premier League.
Exactly that. And so, yeah, all the things pointed towards a Newcastle dub. Mm-hmm. But Bournemouth went there, didn't even shy away. Not many teams go to St James's Park and can go toe-to-toe.
Set the precedent, set the pace.
Because Newcastle, we've spoken about it on the pod, that midfield is crazy. Joe Linton, Sandro Tonali, Bruno G. It's one of the best midfielders in the league.
Physicality, technicians, legs.
They bully teams.
Everything.
But Bournemouth go there. I'll put some stats on the screen about how the game played out. They go toe-to-toe. Momentum is pretty 50-50, if anything, slightly more on Bournemouth's side. And they get a 4-1 win, dominate Newcastle. And I want to talk a bit about what is going so well under Andoni Iraola, what their kind of play style's like. I think you can see kind of parallels between them and Newcastle. Obviously, throughout the pitch, I'd say Newcastle got better players.
Oh, yeah.
But they play very similar. Like we mentioned, Newcastle's midfield, very aggressive. Bournemouth is similar. Ryan Christie, probably one of the most underrated players in the Premier League.
Agreed.
He's playing in that central midfield, and then you've got really aggressive front line. So we'll talk about it later, but their striker situation is pretty dire at the moment. They've had injuries all over the gaff. Evan Nilsson and Unal both out. So they played Dango Utara up top with Semenyo and Kluivert. And yeah, they've just got, like Newcastle, pacey forwards, aggressive midfield. And then they play through the line super quickly, super decisive passing. Just when they win the ball back, it's not like an Arsenal or a Man City.
Not recycling, not looking to set the tempo.
Exactly. So those teams, they'll get the ball back and then take the sting out of the game for a bit.
It's through the
and
gears
go
quickly with Bournemouth.
Straight through the middle. You see Ryan Christie will win the ball, ping it straight to Semenyo or ping it straight to Kluivert. It's aggressive. Both teams, not even 400 passes in the game, where you see Arsenal, Man City, one
player might do that.
Yeah, cracked. But just really impressive. And a stat that I want to bring up, and I'll whack it on the screen. So, in each third of the pitch, Bournemouth are top. You can see it on the screen here. For possessions won in each third. So defensively, they are winning the ball in their third more than anybody else. I think Crystal Palace and Wolves behind them. So that's the teams that kind of can soak up pressure and then win the ball back.
Hit on the counter.
Middle of the pitch, it's Bournemouth at the top with Newcastle and West Ham.
So that echoes what you're saying.
Teams with aggressive midfields and Bournemouth at the top of those. And then final third, they're at the top with Spurs and Arsenal. So teams that have got really aggressive high presses.
High-scoring teams.
Spurs and Arsenal win the ball back. They've got a really aggressive press. You see like Solanke and Kulusevski, you see Odegaard and Havertz, they win the ball. Bournemouth top of that as well. So they, just really aggressive. And Andoni Raiola has set them up in a way that no matter where they are on the pitch, super aggressive, super on the front foot all the time.
Yeah, and I think particularly that final third where they're winning the ball back more than anyone, the amount of goals they probably score off of those recoveries is going to be mental. Because, like you say, the team will get the ball back, look to reset, might look to hit you on the break, and then suddenly, they intercept a loose pass or win the ball back from a defender, and then they're right into you. There's nothing you can do. And it's teams like that which, tend to see a lot of success. And
you need players that are like confident in themselves to do that. So they've got the likes of Semenyo, who I think is one of the best wingers in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I saw a stat where he's like one of the most two-footed players in the Premier League. One of the most like happy to take on players, which you see less and less these days. Wingers that are willing to take on their man. They got Cliver, who I think is starting to like
find his role.
Yeah, find his role, because I think we didn't really know where he was going to fit. Yeah, penalty taker, hat-trick of penalties, but now an actual very good hat-trick. But he's like playing just behind the striker, kind of like floats around. Very decisive. A couple of his goals in this game were really nice. And just like super aggressive for like Dango Tara, really good.
It's dynamic, it's aggressive, and it's constantly forward thinking. None of those players ever really look back and recycle the ball. They're more than happy to try and take one or two players out of the game, whether that be with a bit of skill, with a bit of pace, or just with a pass. It's always forward thinking. And I think that's a lot of teams can't handle it.
Yeah.
They don't expect that fast decision making. You make that quick decision, suddenly you take two players out of the game, you're in on goal. It's so effective. But it takes a lot of practice to get it right, because otherwise you'll be losing possession left, right and centre.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Andoni Raiola, he had that really bad patch when he first arrived, didn't he? Where it was like no wins in 9 and everybody was like, oh, is this the move? Gary O'Neill might have been the guy. But slowly the players that he's got in now, like in the summer, obviously you lose the likes of Don Solanke and stuff and you're thinking, oh, it can only go one way. But you bring in, I don't know, Evan Nilsson, Semenyo takes himself up another level, Kirkish is so good.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the centre-back partnership a little bit later.
I just think a team can only play like this, in this style, when they're full of confidence. Because you'll see teams like Spurs, who one game will turn up, play in a very similar style, and everything seems to click. But another game they turn up, and suddenly they look like they can't string two passes together. The press isn't cohesive. It doesn't work. They're not pressing as a unit. Players aren't where they're meant to be when they recover the ball high up. But this Bournemouth team, everyone seems to be in the right position all the time. They seem to be 2 steps ahead. And it's because they're flowing with confidence. That's brought on by great results, great performances, but also great man management.
Great man management. Like you mentioned Postecoglou and Spurs. They're a team that kind of play that certain way, and that's all they can do. Whereas Andoni Raiola, he's come up against the big teams, and we'll go through it in a sec. But he has a plan B. He can play in different ways, but he's still got that kind of core idea where no matter, we mentioned it earlier, if you're in the defensive third, you're winning the ball back more than anybody else. If you're in the middle of the pitch, you're winning the ball back more than anybody else. Front third of the pitch, you're winning the ball back more than anybody else. So he can play defensively, he can play kind of like the possession-based middle of the pitch, you can play super aggressive. He's got a really interesting style. And yeah, I mentioned that he's really good at adapting his style of play. You don't get results like this if you don't adapt your style of play. So he's beaten Mikel Arteta's Arsenal 2-0. He's beaten Pep Guardiola's Man City 2-1. He's beaten Ange Postecoglou's Spurs 1-0. Ruben Amorim's Manchester United 3-0. And now Eddie Howe's Newcastle 4-1 all this season.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it?
It's very impressive.
Spurs and Man United are bottom half teams.
Yeah, I don't know why I included them. Don't know why I included them. But
they're still big teams.
Loads of big results for a team that we sat at the beginning of the season, like I mentioned, when they lost Solanke, and you're kind of thinking...
He cannot be replaced.
He cannot be replaced. And they brought in Evan Nilsson. They had Unal. And to be fair to Evan Nilsson and Unal, they haven't really had time to properly settle in. But I like what Evan Nilsson does.
Yeah, I think his performance against Arsenal was
Good,
particularly highlighting. But yeah, he's a different kind of striker. I mean, neither of those strikers, I think, will replace Solanke for 1-to-1.
No.
His goals, his hold-up play, his link-up is fantastic. I think Evan Nilsson's probably more about that link-up, build-up play. Not expected to sort of chip in with 25 goals a season, 20 goals a season.
Yeah.
And I'm still unsure on Unal. I think maybe he's
scored
more...
an absolutely banging free kick whenever that was last game.
But I think they've adapted that, and you're seeing the likes of Cliver, you're seeing the likes of Semenyo stepping up and getting the goals.
Yeah.
The goals are more evenly distributed throughout the team.
100%. Well, we mentioned, I don't want to keep digging out Ange Postecoglou's Spurs, but I will do it. But he's like one of those managers that a lot of the media is kind of saying, or Ange apologists are saying, whilst there's the amount of injuries that Spurs have, and he does have a lot of injuries, to be fair, when those injuries aren't there, you see Spurs playing at a really high level, but he can't handle the pressure of injuries. He can't handle the change of play style that comes from having injuries.
It's not been able to have a plan B.
Whereas someone like Andoni Iraola, I don't know if this has come up because their results are so good at the moment, but they've got an absolutely nuts injury list, and he's playing constantly catch up, trying to rejig teams. So Evan Nilsson gets injured. You play Unal there for a bit.
That's their £50 million signing. He's meant to lead the line.
Yeah. Gone. After losing Solanke. But yeah, Evan Nilsson's gone. You bring in Unal. And then he does his ACL, whatever it was, in training, and he's out.
Is that his second ACL injury already of his career?
No idea.
I can't remember. I think he was out for quite a while before. So
it's long for him.
I would be worried about him going forward.
But the fact that you can lose two of your strikers, you see Spurs... Solanke being out, you've seen Arsenal losing bloody Saka and Jesus, and you're kind of thinking, how do the teams cope? But he's coped with that. He's moved Semenyo up top, he's moved Cliver up top, he's moved in the game against Newcastle, Dango Otara up top. But not even just that. So you lose Sinistera, you lose Tavernier, who are probably your two starting wingers. You lose in Marco Senesi, who when he was playing was one of your starting centre-backs. Him getting injured, Senesi, is the only reason Dean Howson's come in. And we'll talk about Dean Howson, what player he is. But yeah, you're losing one of your starting centre-backs and your 19-year-old replacement has had to come in. Lucky he's taken to the Premier League like an absolute fucking Rolls Royce. What's Unal's? He's just checking Unal's injury record.
So,
it's ugly.
Various small injuries.
Yeah.
23-24 at Getafe, cruciate ligament tear, 211 days. Then he signs for Bournemouth. Broken toe, 102 days.
Solid.
Cruciate ligament tear again, 24-25 season. Currently out 213 days.
Yeah, it's techy.
Two ACL injuries in 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's techy.
I'd be worried.
Yeah, I would be worried. And maybe they will, I don't know, enter the market, whatever. But, yeah, this all goes to highlight that Areola has a pretty bad luck in terms of his injury list, but he is handling it with aplomb.
Fantastic word to use.
Come on.
And do you know what? I think that separates like elite managers from the rest of the crowd, because all you're seeing are managers, Ange Postecoglou, moaning we haven't had a fully fit start 11. And I know he sort of isn't blaming all of Tottenham's injury problems on that, but you know, you have to deal with the hand you dealt.
100%.
And Iraola, he's got plan A, B, C, D, mate.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why, yeah, like you said, I think he is a tier above the likes of Ange, because he can get given a shit hand and still find a way.
And let's not be funny, yeah, but the depth that he's got at his disposal
Worse, yeah.
is nowhere near the level of an Arteta or a Pep Guardiola
100%.
or an Ange Postecoglou even.
Yeah.
So the excuses are henceforth invalid.
To go to Newcastle, who, like we said, were the best form team in the league, to go there with no starting striker, no backup striker. I think they had no right back, and Lewis Cook had to play right back. To go there, beat them 4-1 and outplay them, it's insane stuff.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And long may it continue.
Yeah, shout out Andoni. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of like the squad, and I mentioned it when I said Senesi being injured has allowed Dean Howson, who signed from Juve in the summer for 15 mil, 19 years old. He's now partnered Ilyas Zabayani, who we highlighted at the start of the season as one of the best centre-backs to look out for in the league. Centre-back partnership of 19 years old and 22 years old.
Youthful.
And I think,
inexperienced, some might say.
come on. I think this is the one to watch centre-back partnership.
In world football?
Probably in world football
I would
right
agree.
now. 19 and 22, you're dumb. Dean Howson, I think every time I look at the Bournemouth page, he's winning man of the match.
Yeah. He's so like silky on the ball, but he's so big and dominant. Like he is like a young version of a Virgil van Dijk in my eyes.
Oh, great comparison. Yeah, something like a PK of Van Dijk. You don't, with a name like Dean Howson, you don't think he's Espanol. But he's
but it's like Hjulsson though.
I don't know. Even that doesn't sound Spanish.
Yeah, it sounds like Swedish.
Yeah. But he's as Spanish as it comes, mate. Like you said, silky on the ball. He can do the rough and tumble. So he did 4 clearances, 4 block shots, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, 1 clearance off the line, 3 out of 3 ground duels won. So he can do the dirty stuff. He's got the Puyol in him.
That's it.
But he's also got the techie Sergio Busquets kind of calm on the ball, 81% pass accuracy, 3 out of 6 accurate long balls. I've seen so many times where he'll like spray it to Semenyo or spray it to Tavernier.
I hold my hands up here. Things don't turn me on like a defender playing long balls.
Oh mate, it's nuts.
When they hit that ball clean and true and it finds the feet, does a little bit.
Mate,
to me.
he's so silky. And like I looked at him when he came in, I was like, this is a skinny youth. He's 19. He's not going to handle the Prem. But
He is everything Lenny Euro wants to be.
Oh, facts, mate. I hold my hands up. I didn't think he had it in him. Although Juve letting him go for 15 mil, I was kind of like, Juve make a lot of mistakes. So maybe this will be. And apparently now they're looking for someone like him. Why not just keep him? But yeah. Cherries, let us know in the comments down below. Are you loving your young centre-back pairing?
Yeah.
Does Marco Senesi even get back in? I don't know. Probably not.
I mean, not at this rate.
And what price tags are you slapping on these Dons' heads?
Mate, in this market, this day and age,
50, 60 mil.
50 million starting point.
Yeah, 100%.
Starting point. But these things happen though, where out of the blue, out of an injury crisis, players rise up and they suddenly become starting 11. They become big names. They become the ones to watch.
That's how Saka got his starter left back. That's probably how Mainu got thrusted into the team.
Exactly. And I think it's all about careful management because we can easily see players burn out quickly. Suddenly, their flaws get exposed, and then they're not the player they want to do. The confidence gets shot. So I think as long as this good Bournemouth run continues, their market value is only going to rise. 100%. Only going to rise. And they're surrounded by quality, intelligent footballers. Kirkesh, we haven't even touched on him.
Oh, yeah.
He is unbelievable. Best left back, maybe him and Anthony Robinson.
Best left backs in the league.
Best left backs in the Premier League.
100%. I've seen big teams like Liverpool and Man United come sniffing around Kirkesh. He's another player. 60 mil slapper on his head.
In this day and age, what are you going to do? We're above you in the league, mate.
Yeah.
We're likely to get Champions League football than you are.
Yeah.
European League football.
Yeah, better manager.
Much better
structure
environment.
The club. Yeah, I was going to talk about like the grand scheme of Bournemouth. So obviously, I think it was in the summer that they got brought out by American ownership. See all the bits about Michael B. Jordan getting involved, blah, blah, blah. So they are a growing kind of...
They're on the up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're on the up. And so you compare that with like getting brought out by American ownership. That can go one or two ways, whatever. But then they've got like this really smart, like Brighton-esque recruitment strategy.
Is it just something to do with the seaside? I mean, Brentford's not very near the seaside.
What's that song? It's like,
I want to go to the seaside. That one.
Kind of.
Or...
it's nice to live beside the seaside.
Yeah.
I think
I do like to go beside the sea.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, maybe it's a bit of that. But yeah, so they pair like this kind of growing American ownership where they are willing to spend the money, like you said, 50 mil on Evan Nilsson. Small club like Bournemouth.
That's money.
Back in the day, they don't do that. But now,
they've got like the smallest stadium in the Premier League.
Exactly.
They're not a massive club. They're not a club with a massive history of being in the top flight. They've got like back-to-back promotions coming from like League 1, League 2.
Shout out Eddie Howe.
With Eddie Howe,
who
they went to smash on the weekend. So that was a nice present for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not, and this is no disrespect to Bournemouth, but it's not a massive established Premier League club.
It's not an institution.
But in the last 10 years, they've been in the Premier League for what, like 8 seasons?
100%. And it's all about cementing yourself at the top level because couple of bad seasons, your manager gets poached, your best player gets poached, and you can tumble down.
You look at a team like Leicester, who
smashed it.
Won the Premier League, got into Champions League. Then they get relegated a few seasons later, and now they're like in financial turmoil.
Yeah.
They've got no wins in like 10. It can all go south very quickly. So we must appreciate the good times while they're here.
And it can't go more south than Bournemouth.
That is very true.
Jeez. But yeah, no. American ownership and then really smart recruitment strategy. You see, like Dean Howson is like Kirkish, Semenyo. They can sell these players. Yeah, they can sell these players on this summer, next summer for.
And I think that's
100 mil.
That's
whatever.
what the most important part is. They've got to do what Brighton have successfully done going forward is bring these players in, get them cheap, sell them on,
build them up,
and
sell
then
them on.
Replace. But you've got to keep hitting it right, and you're not going to have a 100% accuracy rate on this.
No.
But if you can average that 60 to 65% average on bringing players in, and then only 35% of them don't work out, I think you'll be all right.
100%, and it's looking good so far. And you need a good manager. Andoni is a great manager. The worry is if a big Don comes and sniffs around him. Obviously, Spurs on the weekend getting smashed. Man United,
I wouldn't worry about Amarim for now.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine for now.
At one point, they'll realise it's probably not the management that's the problem.
But Spurs would be a worry for me. Although, I tweeted this, I just can't see him going to Spurs. It's not a step down, but it's not a big enough step up for someone like him
to take it on. Yeah, I just think sometimes you just need to see it out. People won't forget how good you are.
He hasn't been at Bournemouth long enough. He's got like more success to achieve there, I think.
Well, and we've seen like Graham Potter went from Brighton, did really well with them, to Chelsea, had a horrendous time. He's taken a couple of years out. People haven't forgotten how good he was. Now he's whacked himself as the West Ham manager. So I don't think the step ups in football need to be quite as big. Because I don't think the pool of management is as large as everyone thinks it is.
No,
I don't think there's not an abundance of great managers, particularly not in the style of an Andoni Iraola, very forward-thinking young manager. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But I wouldn't be worried. I don't think, unless Man City came in for him, or an Arsenal, or a Liverpool, I can't see anyone really.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he would take any jobs that aren't very high up on the ladder. But yeah, Bournemouth fans, let us know. Are you loving Andoni's life?
Yeah.
Is
the
he
reign of
changing your
Iraola,
life?
mate.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, it's long may it continue. I'm loving it. And it's just such a good team to watch.
They are a really good team. A lot of likeable players as well. A lot of players. Semenyo, I really like him. Like, obviously, this is a Bournemouth video and we're talking you up. But come to Arsenal, mate.
It just goes to show how good their team is.
So good.
That we're not even talking. We haven't really covered the player who scored a hat-trick on the weekend. And I think it just goes to show how good of a unit they are.
I'll end it on a funny stat. So, obviously, Patrick Kluivert, Justin's dad, played for Newcastle. And Justin Kluivert scored more goals in
St James's Park.
Match at St James's Park than his dad did in his entire Newcastle career. That's funny.
Why has Kluivert got 2 Premier League hat-tricks and Saka's gone on?
Yes, but neither is Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, but Rashford's no good.
Yes, facts. I don't know.
Oh, dear.
It'd be what it be. I hope you enjoyed the video. We might do more kind of like deep divey, analytical.
I think so.
Boys, and we've got some other bits and bobs lined up.
Yeah, some exciting stuff. So make sure you stick around for that.
It's January transfer window, so we might do a roundup. Although it's been absolutely dead so far.
Yeah, it's not been great, is it?
Champions League group stages are almost over as well.
That'll be interesting. An interesting couple
nut.
final
Did you watch
weeks.
the Nuts game against Barca Benfica last night?
Fucking ridiculous.
So funny.
The best part of that was Szczesny taking out.
Mate,
what's
carnage. And there's so many nuts moments. You see Rafinha's goal where like keeper cleared it and he just like smashed it into his head. Nuts stuff.
Mate,
we'll
the
do a
Champions League was nuts. And like Atletico last night as well was nuts.
There's some good stuff.
Yeah, brilliant. And as soon as that comes to sort of ahead of the group stage, we can look towards. And that's going to get spiced towards the end because you have teams dropping into the playoffs and relegation. So that'll be interesting. Then we've got an international break coming up where we're going to see Thomas Tuchel take charge of his first couple of England games. That'll be interesting to cover. And yeah, it's going to be great. If you have enjoyed, make sure you do hit the like button, comment down below, leave some comments. We respond to all of them. And make sure you are subscribed so you get to know when all that great content is coming your way. If you do want to cop yourself a cheeky little football shirt, head on over to Classic Football Shirts. Use the referral link in the description. Use code BoreDraw10 at checkout. Save yourself a cheeky 10% off. Got yourself some nice garms. Treat yourself.
Come on.
Anything to add?
Nah.
Up the cherries.
Yeah.